Yes, this is our first live broadcast for the RT show. Today is just going to be a quick one. We're going to be reviewing the new movie Coming to America 2. Um, I'm, we've all watched the movie and we're just going to give our like honest reviews of it. Who am I going to pick on first? Uh, Simon,
Yes.
what did you think of Coming to
Well,
America 2?
it was a lovely trip down memory lane. The nostalgia was there, the references, the characters. A little bit disappointed, I have to admit. Although I have to remember it was 33 years after the phenomenal Coming to America, the first one. Mrs. Selkirk and I watched it together. Um, And there were some laughs. There were some laughs, not quite the same amount of laughs as the first one, but it was so great seeing those characters all 33 years later, how they'd changed, some of them or not. Um, Eddie was a bit disappointed with Akeem. It was a bit too serious. Although it had graduated from Prince Akeem Jafar to King Akeem Jafar, so different position, but the magic, the spark wasn't the same as it was in the first one from Akeem for me. But I did love all the little surprises because I'd not read loads about it deliberately before it came out. The little cameos by En Vogue and Salt and Pepper and Mr. Morgan Freeman as well. Mrs. Selk and I were like, what? The legend is there. And just so many nods to the first movie was great with Akeem's bride from the first film. Still in the last position that we saw her in. Which was barking and hopping on a leg. So just little things like that were great. A great throwback, and it made me reminisce into those days of my childhood, the many times that I watched Coming to America. So yeah, it was a great trip down memory lane. Even though it was disappointing in places, but I have to remember it's 33 years after the first one, so it was never going to be quite the same. But I did like I said, the nods to the first film. I liked the way they blended in some scenes from the first film and added some bits that were supposed to be from 1988 when the first film was set, but were filmed now. I thought the techniques they used were great, and the way they explained the illegitimate son of Akeem. I won't use the phrase. Yeah, there you go. That they described him as
not meant to do it?
they described him as the bastard son, didn't they? Yeah, I was trying to avoid it, but that's how they described. That was the character.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my overall impression. Good, but obviously not the first one.
Okay. Jez, I'm going to ask you a different question. What were your expectations before you watched this movie?
I was kind of expecting it to be more set in the New York area. With him kind of going to New York. I saw that part when Akeem went to go meet his son for the first time, and I thought, right, he's going to show him the ropes. His son is going to show him obviously how New Yorkers, roll about things, and and kind of give him his perspective of how his life is. Because it was kind of, I don't know if you noticed, it was a bit quick in that part where he went around to his house. His parents were all, his mum was there, and the rest of his family and friends and stuff. And then Akeem was like, yeah, obviously I'm coming to take my son. That was kind of speeded up, that process. It wasn't really like, well, hang on, you've only just got here. Let's show you what's changed after 35 years. It'd have been good to kind of show that aspect of it. I was kind of expecting that it was going to be more in New York and not as much in Africa. But I was really, really surprised about how much of Africa was shown. It was brilliant. Obviously about his home, because I suppose it was a bit of a balance there, because previously in the first film, it showed more about the New York part of how his struggles were for Akeem when he first came onto New York, and obviously he was going to portray as a poor person. Really, he didn't want to be known as a rich person, so he could kind of blend in his lifestyle and meet the right lady of his dreams, which he did obviously through his partner on there. And then obviously this one, it was more about Africa and the challenges as his son would face and all those tasks. I don't know if you have to see those, and that was quite good, really. Obviously the lion, the whisker cut, which I mean, I don't know in films if that was to be possible anyway. I think he would have been a mouthful already after like the first attempt, shall I say? But yeah, I mean, he used a bit of a strategy. I don't know if you noticed, he used a bit of a business strategy to kind of get around it, which is quite smart. I like that. I actually like that, and I also felt, which was good for obviously for Akeem's son, was that he wanted to kind of learn. It's Lavelle, wasn't it? His son's name was Lavelle.
Yeah,
all right.
Lavelle.
Lavelle wanted to kind of. Do you remember when he went for his job interview, and he kind of gave a bit of real talk to the boss to say, "Oh, why you don't want to hire me?" But did you know something? The boss was it was tied with trading places because he was the son of Duke and Duke.
Yeah, I saw that photo and I was like,
the photo. So that was a good link. I liked it. I linked it there because in the first one, Duke and Duke were both homeless and they were on the streets. And they were threw them the money, and it's like, oh, we're rich again now because obviously that's what they set up, the mobile business. So yeah, that was good. I liked it, and I think my expectations were a little bit different, but I liked how they kind of changed the narrative a little there, and kind of moved it towards more about the culture in Africa and how Prince Akeem was brought up and how he's now the king. His rules are this. This is what should happen now for my son. This is the baton I want to pass over to you, and I kind of like that. I thought that was quite interesting.
All right, Simon, what were kind of your expectations going into the movie?
I was cautiously optimistic, like, you know, with a lot of sequels, particularly when there's a big gap between them. I think, you know, people know that often sequels don't usually live up to the original. But I think I know us as a friendship group have just discussed the possibility of a sequel for so long that, you know, we were so much looking forward to the day that hopefully they would do it, and then they have. So it was great, and I think, as I said before, I really enjoyed just seeing the characters again and wondering who was going to pop up next. And even, you know, some of them were just brief cameos, like Mr. McDowell. He wasn't in it much. He just was, you know, a couple of scenes. So I was kind of hoping, you know, that Daryl might make an appearance, but it wasn't. And I just thought, to be fair though, to make sense of the story, you know, how would they weave it in, you know? But I just thought, yeah, him and Cherie were obviously two of the main characters that were missing. Daryl and Lisa's sister. So yeah, cautiously optimistic, and like I said, it wasn't quite the first one, but it was entertaining. It was entertaining, and I quite liked. They had the strong eldest daughter Mika as a strong female character. And obviously, you know, the way she dealt with Jez's favourite actor's character towards the end, Mr. Snipes. The way she handled him and his henchmen, it was great. You know, great portrayal, and it just reminded me of the strong female leads in Black Panther as well. I think particularly, you know, because they were fighting with the staffs and everything. It reminded me of that. And again, you know, on the female side of things, Akeem lived up to his word, and he changed the rules of the land and the laws of the land, so Mika could become the ruler and was his natural heir to the throne. So it had a happy ending, which, you know, the first one did. It was nice. But yeah, I agree with Jez with the pacing at times. It felt quite rushed when he first met his son, and it was just like and then that was it, and then they were back over in Zamunda. So they could have given a bit more attention, although it might be for the, you know, like you said, Jez, they looked at America in the first one and they wanted to look at them under in this one. A bit like, you know, East is East and West is West, you know, they looked at one side of the world and they looked at the other side of the world. So expectations weren't met because obviously I think we had, for me, really high expectations, even though I was cautiously optimistic, but I secretly wanted it to be this amazing film that was on par with the first one, even though deep down I knew it wasn't going to be quite the same. But yes, my leading into it, I was cautiously optimistic, but yeah. I'll repeat myself now.
No, it's all good, man. For me, going into that movie, we've heard this remake for the last maybe 3 years, isn't it? About near enough 3 years, and like we were so excited as a friendship group. We heard that Kevin Hart was going to be in it and stuff like that, and then we didn't hear anything, and then within the last maybe 6 months, it's like we found out more what was going to happen and stuff like that. So I was hyped for it. Watching the movie, I'm just going to jump into it. Watching the movie, it was predictable. Like, I was sitting there with Katie, we was watching it. I was like, what's the name of the hairdresser? What's his name? The hairdresser who he falls in love with. Like I was like, oh, they're gonna get together, and then I was like, oh, he's gonna change the rules so his daughter becomes the queen, and like and it's not me saying that I'm that smart or whatever. It was just predictable. I like the fact. I think for me, kind of the reason why I was kind of disappointed is because Coming to America was about the king, and I felt I don't know whether I wanted to know more about King, but obviously it sounds like I really didn't like it. I did like it. Like the beginning, I don't think some of the performances and like the spontaneous, some of the spontaneous, like I like the On Vogue, that cameo got thing. I think when it came to like the dance song, you know, the dancing thing, it was just, I felt it was just like, what one where, what's it? I can't remember the name. I can't even remember the name. That's the one. Tiana Taylor. You know Tiana Taylor. Yeah. What her?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. With dancers, I was like, wow. But it felt like it didn't flow. Like it didn't flow. But I laughed. I'm glad Sexual Chocolate was in it because I remember messaging you guys before. I was like, yeah, as long as Sexual Chocolate's in there, I'll be good. And at the end, man, we are family. Is
that because he reminds you of someone, Rich? Is that why?
Nah, it was just, you know what? That was one of my favorite parts of the first movie was that it was just the way he came in, like he was God's gift, yeah. Just done that performance, yeah, and then just the mic drop, just walked off here, and no one clapped. I thought it was so jokes, yeah, and then I was waiting for the whole movie, like, oh my god, where's Sexual Chocolate? I need it. Well, sounds kind of wrong saying that, but you know, we're gonna gloss over that, yeah. We're gonna gloss over that. But then, and it was like, oh, who you got? This, who did this? And I knew he was coming. That, for me, that was just dope. That was dope. I will be saying that from now on. But as a standalone, it's a nice, easy watch. I think we've only watched it once. Do you get what I'm saying? I've only watched it once. I don't feel like you don't get everything and the inside jokes, but the cameos, like the characters that came back home, they were really good. Like the Reverend.
I was about to say the Reverend. Oh Lord.
Oh Lord. yeah, but yeah, it's not making me laugh. Don't make me laugh if you're live with it. So we can't. There's no editing, but but no, I don't. Okay, I'm gonna compose myself. Um, one thing. Someone sent us a question. Kind of just want to have a quick discussion around it. Um, and the comment. Well, the question is, does the first one feel quite racist and uncomfortable now? And um, what are your what what thoughts does that invoke with inside you? I'm gonna go to you, Jed. What do you think of that? The first one being racist or
Well, I think,
inappropriate at times?
yeah, I can kind of see. I mean, kind of looking at the two films, and going back to the
Mm,
first one, of how I suppose the only thing I could kind of say, the first one, I suppose it's in the 80s, and in the 80s, it was almost a different way of people how they portrayed racism. It was
mm,
almost like these things can be said, and it isn't going to let you know. What I mean, they're going to let it go, let it slide more or less. No one's going to complain about it, and a lot more people probably a lot less. You say more less tolerant towards it really, and thought, it is.
mm.
That's funny. That's really funny, actually. I'm not going to take it as any offense to that. But I think now, especially looking at the new one, and obviously the barbershop and obviously the Jew,
Yeah,
where Eddie
the
Murphy
Jewish
portrayed
guy. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the Jewish guy, and there was a few. I suppose there was a few areas as well when obviously Lavelle was talking to the obviously the boss Duke's
Yeah,
son.
yeah.
He kind of was talking about obviously Black Lives Matter and kind of mentioning some elements of that. I don't know. It was almost like a difference. Like times have changed now. This is how things are. But they still had the barbers in there. No one really said anything. You know what I mean? I don't know what's been said
Yeah.
much outside that. But I don't know. I mean, if you put the first one and if it was released now, I'm not sure how much reviews,
Yeah.
positive reviews that he would get from that. Really, I think he's probably had to look back on the first one and say, okay, I can't really do what I did there. So I'm gonna have to switch you up a little, but maybe keep some of the. I want to still bring the existing characters in. Maybe not let them talk as much as they did in the first one. There's a lot of stuff that they did say that's kind of inappropriate, if you know what I mean. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was. I think now it's because of the way things are and how what I mean. There is a woke nation out there now, isn't there? People are more woke, and what I mean. They can be thinking, I don't want to watch this. It's too, what I mean. It's too racist in a way. Um, but I suppose it's just looking back to the first one. Watch the first one. I would recommend, and then check the second one out. Don't just jump straight to the second one and bring yourself to any conclusions. I feel, because yeah, there is a lot of comedy in the actual film, and Eddie Murphy, as you said, he's done the portrayal of many characters in many movies. So it kind of, what I mean. I don't think that he would have changed it for anything. I think he's always wanted to do it and have more say. Um, in that sense before it was released. I believe that even prior to this being released, I think he wanted to kind of get the right script in to read it and say, okay, this is what I'm seeing. Let's go with it. Let's roll with it. Because he probably turned down a few scripts that other writers had done. He's thinking, well, I don't want to go with that. It doesn't make sense, or it's not what I want for the people to see from the original. Um, yeah, I think it's difficult in these times now. But I suppose, I don't know if you noticed in the movie there was a lot of flashbacks as well to the original in the movie, and that was really interesting. I did like that how it went back to the beginning and then kind of looked at the dating scene when he met the girl, Lavelle's mum, for the, for the first time, and obviously she got drugged and stuff, and yeah, it was well, they was on drugs, as we said before, I mean, they slept together, and it was kind of a bit of a yeah, it was kind of good how to turn that meeting all these women, and then obviously he got with someone that he didn't really have a say in. To be honest, it was quite funny. But yeah, I think that's how my take is on that part really.
You're muted, Rich. You're muted. For once. You're quiet for once. Chatting away there. You're probably going to come to me, Rich, I'm guessing. So, yes. I see, you know, the question that came in, you know, I spoke to Mrs. Selkirk about this. And I see, you know, where the questions come from. And like Jez said, it was made in the late 80s, was the film. And there were stereotypical portrayals to an extent, you know, of comedy African characters. But then the thing is, you know, when I was speaking to Mrs. Selkirk, that Eddie Murphy, you know, he wrote the story of that. He didn't write the script, but he wrote the story for Coming to America. Same for the sequel. He'll have had a heavy hand in pretty much, you know, everything that went on there. It was a predominantly black cast, so and it was a comedy of the time as well. So it's, you know, I wouldn't say it's uncomfortable to watch now. I think people still laugh at it, and you know, and something that came out of my discussion with Mrs. Selkirk, it was kind of, oh well, like with any comedy, if people who are watching a comedy, whether it's a film or a series, identifies as the same race as the cast of that comedy, are fine with what they're seeing, then, you know, is it for anybody else to then say, oh, it's, you know, actually that's quite racist, that's quite racist, if the people who identify as the same ethnicity don't feel that it is. The situation we're in now, like, you know, Jez said, and the world we're in today, and everything that's been going on, particularly over the last year or so, anything that has any hint of you know, racial portrayal or stereotypical portrayal of a race, I think people are going to question. It doesn't necessarily mean, you know, it is racist, the portrayal. It's just, I think you know, the people, like I said, for me, the people who watch films, who watch series, who identify as being from the same race as the people who are portrayed in that film or series, if they're fine with it, then for me it's fine. You know, there's no malice. It's Coming to America. It's a comedy. It's light-hearted.
Yeah.
And I know people can throw arguments, you know, against that all day, saying, yeah, but you know, that's what, you know, racism is at times. But you know, Eddie Murphy is a black man who wrote the story. He devised the script. One of the main writers of the story, David Sheffield, he's written on many. He's a white man, but he's written on many Eddie Murphy films. So it's a partnership, you know, that Eddie Murphy feels works. There'll have been, you know, no doubt there'll have been contributions from people like Arsenio Hall into the script as well, you know, as another comedian. It's just, for me, it's not uncomfortable to watch. And yeah, you can look at some of the things, particularly like the barbershop, like you said, but then you could also argue, but that portrays a generational thing as well, because it's older people, older men speaking in a certain way, which actually you find today that, you know, the older generation, they use phrases that, you know, we wouldn't use. I'm not saying that makes it okay, but it's just phrases from the time when they were younger and they were growing up, and that's, you know, that's how they speak. So yeah, I think, like you said, if it was made now, maybe some of the things might be a bit different, but not just on race, you know, just the on gender as well. Like there was that difference in, you know, with the Royal Bathers in the second one, that were noticeably not topless, and they were in the first one. So they still had the hints to everything, but then they kind of switched the gender thing with Akim's son's heir, the mum. Yeah, they switched it so it was almost the power had gone to the woman in that scene, whereas it was always, you know, power to the men in the first one. So gender-wise, there was a switch there. So it was, the first one's a film of the 80s, isn't it? And things change as time moves on. But it's an enduring film. You know, the amount of things I saw on social media on Friday of people saying, you know, can't wait, I'm about to check this out, see what's about, the sequel, been waiting for a long time for this. And that was a mixture of people who identify as different ethnicities. So they clearly weren't offended that much, if at all, by the first one. It's a good question, but for me, it's a film of its time, and I personally don't find it uncomfortable to watch. Mrs. Selkirk didn't find it uncomfortable to watch. She's mixed race. She kind of rolled her eyes when I brought it up with her. Anyway, so yeah, for me, a film of its time, and it still has its merits, and it's a comedy. It's light-hearted. There was no malice in what the black actors were portraying or doing. So yes, what about you, Rich?
Well, how can I say it? The first one, yeah, it's inappropriate as hell at times. It's not an uncomfortable watch for me, but this is it's all about points of views. You know, what I find offensive, another person won't find offensive. But movies and books are snapshot. I see it as a snapshot of the culture of that time. There's things that obviously, and phrases and stuff, and even the way we treat women. We've moved on. We've evolved from that. But I feel that at the end of the day, it's a comedy. It's a comedy movie. It's not going to be the case where it's just, I can't say it. It's just a comedy. It's there to make people laugh. It's not malice. It's not a political statement. So that's how I felt about it. I enjoyed it, the first one, and I think one thing I would mention when we was watching the second one, me and Katie, she was just like, "Why is it that the one scene with the white guy, that there was this negative perception of the white guy?" And I was like, "Oh," and it just got me thinking that even though I didn't see it, but she obviously felt a way about it, and I was just like, okay, fair enough. But it's all about the way I see it. If something offends you, you don't watch it. It's not. It's a comedy movie. It's not promoting violence against people. It's not. It's just a comedy piece, and it's done from a place without malice. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Guys, final thoughts, man. So I want to ask you, Jez, would you recommend someone people watch Coming to America too?
Yes, 100% I would. I think, yeah, if you're an Eddie Murphy fan and you're interested in obviously the whole story behind Coming to America, I would recommend obviously the first movie, watching that first to get a bit more of a background story. Moving to the second, which is the sequel, just to kind of get an outline of Prince Akeem, the rise from a prince to a king, and obviously how he obviously looks and portrays his father in a sense in the second one. I don't know if you noticed that, but I would recommend it. I would definitely recommend it to people. And as you said, it's a comedy, as you mentioned, Rich and Si, and people should enjoy it in that sense as well, and not take too much offense. It's a comedy for the ages, shall I say?
Okay, Simon, you?
Yes, despite my little grumblings about it, if you're a fan of the first one, you've got to see the second one, because it's just, like I said, a trip down memory lane to revisit all those characters from the first one, pretty much all of the those characters from the first one, and just those little throwbacks and the little things that they throw into it from the first film, and the way they blend that in as well. It's just a nice, lovely, light-hearted, nostalgic trip down memory lane. So yes, watch it, and it's streaming on Amazon Prime anyway. So You know, what else? What else have we got to do in this? You know, at this time, for the next few weeks.
One last thing as well. I just want to say
Well,
that probably one of the most comedic performances as well was the slide by Wesley Snipes. I don't know if you saw General Itzy when he were coming down. That entrance was
the walk,
that was
the walk
something
is
else.
heavy. That walk was good, man. Yeah, yeah.
I didn't think you'd be too impressed by Snipes, to be honest, Jez. I know
No,
you know.
we're not going.
Well,
No, we're
that's
not
for
doing
another
that.
topic. That's for another
No,
topic.
no.
Yes, sorry, Jez, for bringing that up.
We're not doing it. We're not doing it. For me, watch it. You'll laugh, light-hearted, nice, easy watch. Worst things you can watch. Leslie Jones, Tracy Morgan, wherever they were in the scene, they stole that scene. I think they had a lot of. I think Eddie, for my perception, was given a lot of young actors chances and actresses. All of the daughters, whoever played the daughters, amazing performances. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, that's our time, boys. I like to thank you both, man, because boy, that was one hell of a movie.
Indeed.
It's been a long time coming, Rich.
It's been, we've been hyped about it for the last like 3 years, isn't it? Since if we looked at our group chats, it was like 3 years we saw it. The Kevin Hart one. Oh, anyway, I'm starting to ramble in it. So,
Well, what do you say when the Lord and he comes and he praises coming to America.
someone do that.
Jez, if you ever need a new reverend, there you
I'll
go.
play him if anyone wants it.
You play the reverend.
I'll play Reverend.
Rich is penciled in for Sexual Chocolate
Bro,
because of all the similarities.
no,
What about yourself?
bro, we are family. Okay,
Who could I be?
you know what? I'm gonna say the perfect line, yeah. So I'm gonna say the perfect line, yeah, to finish this, yeah. We are family. He wants to finish it. He wants
No,
to
you
finish
can't say it. You've got to sing it, Rich. You've got to sing
No,
it.
I'm
You can't
not
say
singing
that
it.
line.
Are you?
That is a line that is sung.
No, no one wants singing. You know, no, you can't do that. I'm not doing it. I'm not gonna.
You seem to know the lines. You know the lyrics.
I do
I do know the lyrics, but that's shower.
I know more the lyrics to the first one. From the first with obviously the I believe the children in our future.
Yeah, we just
Let them well.
well.
Let the music.
Okay, I'll sing it. No, I'm not gonna sing it. I'll say, we are family. I've got Sexual Chocolate with me. I need the mic.
There we have it.
And that is the mic drop there, Rich. Right
There's the
there.
mic drop.
The spoken
I don't know
word
if it's
mic
as good
drop.
as the. To be honest, I don't know when Sexual Chocolate actually we sang that song. If it's as good as the first one, because I don't know in the sequel, in the first movie when he was obviously because everyone went quiet, didn't they?
Yeah, I think he's been
I don't
working
know.
on his voice since then, and he's had time.
Did you notice at the end credits? I don't know if you guys followed it right to the end, the John Legend's performance.
Yes.
Yes.
That was really good. I really liked that as well. That was really, really good. Yeah, there was so many differences in there. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it really from start to finish. And yeah, I mean, as you said, it kind of finishes that sequel. He doesn't need to do any more sequels to that now. I think that's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's good.
Yeah. Anyway, we're done. Wow.
We're done. That's
Over
it.
and out.
Sexual
Cheers.
Chocolate spoken. We're out.
I'm not Sexual Chocolate. Oh,